Hello there, welcome back to F1 Manager and our Alpha Tauri. Hopefully, speedrun. Now, we are in Qatar in what might be our final season. I thought we'd crown off this playthrough with female world champion, which looks to be happening. We have Norris as our biggest threat right now, but we'd also love to get the constructors as well with this driver lineup. If it doesn't happen, we have already kind of started planning for next year. We have Sano here, who's very good at smoothness, which is arguably now one of the more important stats, and who our drivers are, unfortunately, not good at. So we do have a bit of an issue there. And we are going into the next couple of races here on circuits that do require a little bit of better tire usage. So this is going to be fairly interesting, I feel. With that in mind, let us speed along here until we get to Qatar itself. I have no desire for any more sponsorship obligations. If I have it at 10, it means it's because that's the lower limit, so no desire for any more. Sidepod research has been completed, and this is a fairly good one. Did I invest CFD period into this? Does kind of look like it, honestly. Because that's a 4% jump, 5% jump, 2%, 4%. That smells CFD. And yeah, it's from we had these the 6 slots basically. It's a leftover from an early event that gives you 6 slots. That's why we're gonna have to wait for the chassis to be done too. Then we'll take a look. This could also just be because we lost a bunch of stats not too long ago, but yeah, I think it does indeed look like that might be the culprit, if you will. So if we take a quick look here at the board and how we're currently looking in terms of our research, the chassis is caught up. The front wing is not. Front wing needs definitely a little bit more work, particularly in the airflow sensitivity area. The rear wing, any work would be good here, but honestly nothing too big. The side pods probably hasn't updated yet. If they have, we're basically done at this point. It will just be getting more boosts. Underfloor, again, not too bad. Suspension, we do need to probably put in just a little bit more work, but for research next year, it's looking already very, very good. So what I'm thinking is that we're just going to continue that train, and we're probably going to do front wing next. We do have CFD time available to us, which kind of hints towards us not using it. And of the piece that we had available, using it on the rear wing probably wouldn't be a terrible idea, but I think the front wing would be a better option, and that is exactly what we're going to do here. We're going to use our CFD period on research for the front wing. We're going to focus low, medium, and sacrifice some high. We're going to get the brake cooling. We don't care much for airflow sensitivity. And this is a design, not a research. So let's go back, because I'm a silly goose. There we go. That looks a little bit better. Explains why the numbers too were a little bit weird. In the sense that there were too many options, if you will. But yeah, this should be okay in terms of, well, spending a little bit on research, I feel. These are decent gains in terms of cornering for just one research period, so we'll go with this. This is acceptable. And any extra brake cooling we get next year, we can actually sacrifice brake cooling then, get more cornering, get more top speed as a kind of exchange. So it's not a terrible idea to just do it like this. It does work out in our favor. So yeah, that is a-okay. Could probably have used it on the underfloor too. That wouldn't be the worst idea ever. But this as well is acceptable, and we have built the 3 parts that we had to replace between race weekends. That puts us back into arguably a good position. Chassis 2 there, caught up. The underfloor research has been completed, and I think we just want to do another one, honestly. The underfloor is losing a lot of airflow sensitivity. Getting some cornering drag reduction would be good, so we're actually going to do something that might look a little bit silly, which is to research the underfloor again. But we're going to do it in a bit of a backwards way. We're going to focus on the things that we... Again, dirty air tolerance isn't a huge focus for me. I'd rather get the other stats up and running a little bit more. And we could also focus a little bit more on top speed, but I think doing it like this is acceptable. But already our underfloor is fairly good, which you can kind of see here from the gains not being very high from doing this research project. So you might just leave it be after this one, focus on the other 5 parts. But yeah, That is just how it be sometimes. So the underfloor here, 3%, 4%. We actually did get a decent chunk last time around, so that's interesting to look at, honestly. But yeah, it is sort of reaching, I think, the peak there of what we can expect of our underfloor. 80%, that's when you start really, really struggling to get any more performance out of it, although sliders do have a effect on whatever the percentage says there, so take it with a grain of salt. But now, though, we're going to jump straight into Qatar, which is a sprint weekend. This should be a good option for us. We've already kind of done Qatar just a few days ago, so we have gotten a little bit insight in our strategy. But the main concern that I have going into Qatar is that we have drivers that aren't very good at handling the high degs, so this could still be pretty bad. We're also going to have to buy a new engine for Contreras at one point, so we might end up eating the penalty here if we say have an incident during the sprint, or if we qualify poorly. You get the idea. We might end up changing how we do things, but I'll get the car set up and then we shall head into the sprint itself. I'd argue that we had a pretty strong showing here with half a second gap here down to the Red Bulls in quali. Yeah, we might have been coming at this the wrong way with the aggressive strategies, is what I'm starting to think. So we're going to get through practice 2 here. The engine is not going to be bought here. We're probably just going to have to bite the bullet in Austin, I'm thinking. But currently, I am also considering what we're going to do in terms of strategy for the race. But I think doing something a little bit more cautious should be absolutely fine. It shouldn't be an issue to play things a little bit more safely in terms of running a 2-stop round conserve. Well, for the race itself, the sprint, we're probably just going to run the mediums, so run them carefully, because the AI will destroy the tires around this track. There's just no way they won't. Particularly on the first season after the major regulation change, it should be even worse. So, as you can imagine, I'm pretty confident here that we are in a good position for having the AI kind of destroy themselves, or we just watch and laugh. That's the hope. So we're definitely going to start on the mediums. I don't know if we want to start attack, honestly. I think we would want to just go with standard all the way. We're going to push fuel, and we're going to use ERS, but we'll run aggressive for the first lap. Well, not even that, probably just the first few corners. And the idea here is very simple. We want to take as good care of these mediums as we can, and as soon as possible, we're going to move over to light. Because degradation here is higher than anticipated on most tires, and our drivers have terrible tire management. So honestly, even running like this, I'm certain that by the end, we probably aren't going to have any tire left. And even if we were to run the softs here, as you can see, you can run them on conserve and still have... Honestly, that would actually be a fun strategy to try. We're going to do something silly, because you start with tires at temp. So I want to do this because it's silly. And because of my proof of point, because we are a lot quicker than the cars around us, half a second quicker, judging by the quali. So we're going to try something incredibly silly, which is to run conserved softs for the entire sprint. Now, softs actually have a pretty significant advantage over anything else, 5/10. Degradation though, 11 laps, but if we run them on conserve, we're going to basically get a advantage to the softs that the others are running. So I want to try this for fun, because it's a bit of a gamble, but it's also a gamble that I think could pay off massively. So, conserve, here we come.
We're ready for the sprint.
Main reason too why I'm doing this is because we're starting 1-2. So we should be able to somewhat block the cars behind. That is the hope. And as I said, we start with tires at temp, so running conserve is actually not a bad thing, although Verstappen here is getting a bit of a move on already. This is kind of what we anticipate. We are going to get overtaken by both Red Bulls. That is just going to happen. But at the same time, getting overtaken by the Red Bulls isn't necessarily a bad thing, because they will burn their tires down while we conserve ours. And we'll have to see if this actually, again, pays out, because we do have drivers that aren't good at conserving tire, and you kind of can see that already with the gaps being formed. We're not going to get DRS to Verstappen. But honestly, the fight is with Norris, and Verstappen is going to be taking a penalty for the race itself. So again, I'm kind of happy with this. We'll just have to see how it goes though, because again, the AI pushes very, very hard for the first few laps. And already we have basically a 3 to 4% advantage with drivers that barely have, you know, tire management skills. And we are almost outside of Norris's DRS range here. We actually are. So doing this is going to most likely work out very well. And I'm very happy with it so far. Get down to balance. We do probably need to manage the fuel a little bit more this time around. But yeah, even if we do get Norris to catch up in terms of DRS, it's not a bad thing. If he's closer to us, he's just going to burn his tires more. So yeah, I'm happy with this idea. Let's see how it looks in about 15 laps time, if I'm still happy with it, or when we actually catch up to Verstappen, if we catch up to Verstappen. That didn't actually take as long as I thought. We're on lap 9, and we have caught up to Verstappen here. And I don't think we need to do anything in particular. If we have a look at the tire difference here, we have 15% advantage. That is still growing. And Contreras is using more tire, but that is to be anticipated. Honestly, if I give Nyman energy, I think she's going to fly past Verstappen on this next lap. Although they have cooled the tires a little bit, but 95 is the operative gap here. It's just one tire that's slightly cold, which is fine for us. But what I'm thinking here is that we're going to give Nyman the push button here. Fly past Verstappen, create a little bit of a gap, and then work from there. Because, again, we're halfway through, and they've used 50% of a tire. That really only has 70% to go on. So that is not great. Let's put it like that. And Nyman has gotten away. And now we can do the same for Contreras. And she too should just fly past, no questions asked, although she kind of settles in behind there. But within a few laps here, we should be getting by, and then the gap should be reinstated. So, conserve works great. Apparently, if you're the faster car, I don't know if it's going to work this great if you're equal, but looking at Gasly, I think we'll be fine. And I don't know exactly what happened to Norris here. I actually missed what happened to him. So, something happened, clearly. But nothing too major then. But yeah, we're going to just sail by. If Contreras gets by before the last few laps, is fine. If not, let's be honest here. We are going to be flying by just due to the sheer difference in tire. So we should be pretty much set at this for a 1-2. Unless our drivers has some sort of incident. We're getting close here now. We're on basically last lap at this point. And we're going to go over to full attack. Once we cross the line, it is last lap. And we should, with attack and everything here, have no problem getting the overtake done, although Contreras is kind of struggling with that. But at this point, Verstappen has 24% tire, and even with low confidence, I don't really want to put it any higher because, well, risk of crashing. So, let's face it, even if she takes out Verstappen, it's not going to be worth it. But yeah, this ain't great. We just struggle to get by, even with DRS, so Verstappen's defense skill is clearly that high. Let's turn it up to medium at least, take a little risk, push the little bit of fuel that we have, and even then, seems like it just isn't enough, but Nyman is going to get the win here. All cars here are kind of running out of fuel, sorry, not fuel, the tire. But even then, Verstappen is going to be moved down, so while we do kind of waste a point here, I still think that this is an acceptable result. It's just a little bit unfortunate that we were unable to get past Verstappen, and Norris there even has a puncture, so he had a terrible race. But yeah, that really worked out to our advantage and kind of does show that running soft tires and full conserve around this place is viable. It's extremely viable. So viable, in fact, that I think we're going to start with that. We did also have higher degradation than anticipated, so even if we do start them like this, we are going to have to adjust strategies to make up for it. And we do want to kind of stay away from the hard. So what I'm thinking is that we might do something like this. We're actually not going to run attack for once at the start of a race. Although running the attack medium would be good. So let's do it. We're probably going to be pitting by lap 10 doing this, honestly. But I think we should be able to still make this work with that. It's going to be close for Contreras. Might need to adjust to just running them aggressively and do something like this. I think this is what we're going to try and go for. Again, we'll just have to see just how high the deck is on the medium. And even this doesn't feel completely safe. So that's a weird feeling. I think we're going to do this for both cars, basically. Nyman has a little bit more to go on. But this is going to be kind of the strategy that we're going to be mimicking. And if we need to, we do have extra mediums. So if we see a high deg on the first off stint hit, deg that we can't actually handle, we're just going to go ahead and put in a medium stint at the end, or another medium stint here. Probably towards the end, let's be honest. Because we do have that option if it just turns out that things don't work as anticipated. But yeah, I'm happy with this. We're starting 1-2. Let's see if we can have a good race here in Qatar.
Here on the outskirts, we're about to get going here in Qatar. And it's lights out and away
Bit of a
we
bad
go.
start there, but I think we'll be fine. Turn down the settings for aggression and defend. No need to take risks early. We have Gasly starting in third, then Leclerc, Russell. Did Verstappen? Yeah, both Red Bulls at the back of the grid. This is a golden opportunity. This is actually what people mean when they say that you've got a golden opportunity. Because if we win here and the Red Bulls don't really score too many points, we might actually be able to close the gap in its entirety. And that would be, as I said, a little bit insane. But so far, it's been a really good start to the race. Nyman has advantage. Contreras in second, leading the DRS train. And degradation-wise, we can already see that we're higher than anticipated. But that is in terms of aggressive. I think we're just going to go all in. I kind of want to. I know it's risky, but with the gaps that we're going to be creating, it shouldn't be a problem to do something that is slightly risky. I think it's probably going to be better for us long term. So with that, we are going to push these tires. They can go up to 135 degrees before they start to, well, catch on fire and combust. So until we reach that point, we're going to be very, very happy. And we are already creating a fairly sizable gap here. So we'll sit back, relax, see how long these tires last and how many laps we can do. With how high the deg is, I think Contreras, we're going to be pitting this lap, and we're going to be pitting Nyman on the next one onto the soft tires. So we lasted until about lap 12, which means that we could still be fine. We are going to have to slow down time though when Contreras comes back out, because we need to tune her down so she doesn't immediately destroy the soft tires that we are going to be putting on. But in terms of the pit stop here, we're going to come out approximately in the middle of the field. And with fresh softs versus worn tires, even if we run a little bit conservative, that should be a-okay for getting the most out of these kind of tires, get a little bit of that confidence running as well, to get even more pace. So I'm still very happy with how this is going. And we're just going to get Nyman in here too. She has a little bit more time to go on. So I think she too will come out in good position. I saw the yellow, I got scared. Luckily just a restart with a spin instead of one of ours. I think Contreras is just going to fly by that McLaren immediately. And she kind of did, so good thing that we gave her the tools for the job. Next up, Stroll. Nyman comes out in 6th, so I say coming out like this after the first pit stop is pretty good. We're 10 seconds behind the leaders, they need to pit, so we're going to keep on working both cars forwards. But currently, I'm very, very happy with where we're kind of situated at. So let's see where we'll be come that final pit stop, and if we can keep these tires alive to do just one more. So far, so good. We've been getting all of our overtakes on the main straight, so that is good. Makes it very calm and peaceful, although Contreras makes a move around the corner there. I kind of want to see the replay for that one. That did look kind of nice. Gaming around on the outside. Very, very nice. But yeah, so far, doing incredibly well. And as you can see here, Gasly and Leclerc both have to pit. We have taken well care of our tires. And this might actually turn out to be working. We also have Verstappen here, having pitted. Same here with Norris. So both of them are getting kind of back in it. But Gasly has yet to pit, Leclerc has yet to pit. A lot of the cars in our immediate vicinity has yet to pit. So I'd say it's looking very, very promising that we might get a 1-2 here. So looking forward to seeing how the rest of this race develops. So what I'm seeing is that degradation-wise, we're in a little bit of a spot of bother here, but we have so much time compared to the rest of the grid that I've decided to do a little bit of an unorthodox strategy change here. Well, not really for me, but we're going to do basically 3 stops here now. We're going to be burning down these tires a bit, then we'll be putting in another soft stop, because we have a lot of fresh soft tires here, although I believe, I hope so at least, that I'm not wrong. Yeah, we have another 2 sets of fresh soft tires. And we have the same here for Nyman. So even though the strategy there did give me a scare for a second, we actually have enough soft tires that doing this isn't actually a problem, even though the game kind of tells us that it is. Because what I'm thinking is that we just get on really early, then we go into another soft towards the end. So basically, we just take advantage of the softs as much as we can, to 60% or so, and then we're going to be pitting for that final soft stint. So basically ensuring that we get fastest lap and that we retain the advantage that we have in a roundabout way, I guess you could say. Because right now, our lap times are still about 5/10, 7/10 quicker than 3rd place, about a full second quicker than 4th, and I would assume that these times are going to go down a little bit there. You can kind of see it here with Contreras getting 2 seconds to the rest of the kind of grid there. And again, we're just going to do this because we have advantage. There's no reason to burn these tires down into the ground without any clear, guaranteed advantage, so to speak. And Contreras should come out in a good position here just behind Gasly. And for Nyman, she should be coming out a few seconds ahead of both of these. So I'm thinking this is, again, the best thing we can do. Gasly, however, is on medium tires. They are going to be burnt down pretty quickly. And we should be quicker than him. That's the thing here. That is kind of what I base this strategy on as soon as we get these tires up to temp. So I'm happy with the current choice here strategically, even though it does bring us closer to our opponents. Remember, fresh softs, half a second quicker than the mediums to begin with. And as these heat up, they're just going to keep on getting even better and better compared to his tires. So I'm still happy with this, even though we did, as I say, put gas in between. He too is going to have to pit once more. So this tire advantage is going to be great for us. Let's see how we look when we get a little bit closer into this. But yeah, tires are heating up right now. We are getting a little bit quicker than Gasly. Verstappen and Norris too, I believe. No, just Verstappen has pitted onto what is going to be his final stint. So everyone ahead of him still needs to pit, and he's probably going to have actually a fairly decent point scoring position here because he is within everyone except Gasly's pit window. So currently he's kind of poised for 4th if he can keep this alive. Hopefully Ocon here can do a little bit of holding up. But unfortunately the Red Bulls are doing better than I anticipated, and there's nothing we really can do with that. We'll just have to deal. But yeah, I'm happy with how things are currently going. We'll just kind of get back to it. And the gap that we have to Leclerc is more than good enough. And again, if Gas is going to run another 17 lap on those mediums, I'm going to be very impressed. So we are perfectly safe here to pit again and should still come 1-2, unless we have some unfortunate incidents. Final pit stops here have been committed without incident. We are running 1-2. Fastest lap just went to Gasly, who's on a 76% soft, but honestly, I think we will have no problem, as I said, with getting this done. We're 22 seconds ahead of him. What I would have probably liked to do, if I knew that this is how this race was going to progress, is take the engine penalty here, because at this point, we're most likely going to have to take it in Austin. And that's going to suck a tad more. We've also seen that Verstappen has had a pretty easy charge here to get back up to 4th and potentially 3rd. So it wouldn't even have been a terrible idea to kind of go ahead and do that. Now we have just a few laps left here, so we do need to do a little bit of recharging of the good old fuel. We're also going to recharge the energy a little bit because we do want to get fastest lap. But yeah, it is a little bit concerning, the fact that we didn't take the engine penalty here, because Verstappen, as I said, has proven that it was definitely viable to do so. So that is a little bit unfortunate. For now, though, we're just going to kind of recharge everything here and get set up for, well, going for the fastest lap come the final lap here. So I would like to recharge the fuel a little bit more. But yeah, as you can imagine here, this is going to be probably pretty much just a blowout in terms of fastest lap. So that should be good. Verstappen, I don't think he's catching Gasly, which is also great news for us, and also probably good news for Alpine. But yeah, let's speed along here. Just a few laps to go. Norris, unfortunately, hasn't actually been able to make his way into the points so far, which is amazing for us. Shame for Red Bull. Kind of impressed with what Verstappen has done now. I might actually take a look here quickly and see exactly what it is that he has been doing. So he started on a soft tire, pitted pretty early, about 2 laps after us, which probably helped him out a ton as well. Went on the medium, pushed a little bit to begin with, pushed it towards the pit stop, went to another medium, and that's how he's gotten here. But yeah, if we compare him to, say, everyone around him, he did pit fairly early, so did Ocon. And those that kind of did medium, yeah. The mediums are going to be the big losers here because the softs are strong, but I'm surprised if Verstappen has had this good of a run on them, to be perfectly honest. But it's probably also to do with the AI having used softs, and since degradation is so high here, used soft basically means they're down to about 80%, 84, 85, 86. You get the idea, more so than other tracks. And I was so enamored with Verstappen that I completely forgot to put these settings up. So
We can still do it.
let's see if we can get fastest lap even if I forgot about that. So currently, green sector 1, personal best. Green sector 1. Let's see sector 2. Yellow and purple. Let's see, Nyman, you're going to get DRS to help you over the line. And Contreras gets fastest lap, which isn't that surprising. She had DRS on the main straight to start off with. And that fastest lap should be a pretty strong showing, but only a 10th quicker than Contreras.
Okay,
So yeah, I think we can be happy with that. Verstappen 4th, Norris out of the points. That does give us a huge haul of points on Red Bull. So this is very, very good. Yeah, very good. Again, an incredible showing here to go from 20th to 4th even. But our car is incredibly dominant, so I'm a little bit embarrassed that we've been struggling this much this season. Again, could just be to me being stuck a little bit too much in the must attack mindset. But yeah, that closed the gap by a bunch. Basically 37 points have been gained on Red Bull, with all 58 gained that weekend. So we're now 30 points behind, going into Austin. So everything is still open. Pit stops are still very quick here because, as I said, this is an old save. A little bit of a pit stop error here, which honestly didn't change anything, so I can't complain. Did forget to give Sano race practice, which is bad, considering that we might need to pull her up to the main team next year. Nyman did improve the performance rating though, and so did Sano, so can't complain. Can't recognize exactly what she leveled up in. Sano still has 73 smoothness, which again is an incredibly important stat this year. Let's go ahead and manufacture a replacement front wing. And I think we're immediately just going to head into USA here. I think it's going to be USA and then probably the end of today, because I have work, basically. And the stack rows here have been pretty good. Adaptability, I hate that stat. 2 accuracy, 1 braking, cornering, adaptability, of course, again, and also accuracy. So the growth here isn't too terrible. 2 points of smoothness, 2 in reactions, a cornering point. They're both growing nicely. Well, all 3 of them, technically, are growing nicely, so I can't be too upset. With that, let's have a look at how our pit crew is currently looking. So, currently they are tied. We're going to have to allow them a little bit of rest. But I think what we can do here is pit stop errors, get that a little bit down, pit stop time as well. Because as I said, we might end up doing another season here if we don't get the championship itself. So with that in mind, we might need to make some changes. But honestly, this is all we can really do this month, because we're going to have to check after the United States Grand Prix just how much fatigue we've actually gained. And again, switching the 1 components, engine, ERS, gearbox, does have an effect on fatigue when you do it during the race weekend. So do keep that in mind. It's better to kind of plan your pit crew as you go. But for now, this should be okay. And I'll try and remember to do it after USA. There are times that I do forget. Allison is our technical chief. His contract is ending. We probably do want to keep him, although we could go ahead and do a little bit of pouching. Steal back, which would be one of the options. Both of these are really options. Buyout would be 4 million. He has max underfloor, max wings. Chassis is the main lacking point as well as side pods. Haven't actually scouted back, so let's just go for detailed scouting, and we might actually poach one of the top dogs, so to speak, just to make sure that we get something next year. And Contreras, 69, very nice. What did she actually level up in though? Honestly, don't know, but yeah, we need something that does braking and smoothness. I don't think there's something that does both, which is why I put it on braking mainly. It's basically that, or we do balanced. Let's see if we let's try balanced, because the lack there of that braking stat is really hampering her, honestly. Next to 10 points, then she would be winning the league by a lot, I think, or winning the championship by a lot. But yeah, we have another sprint weekend ahead of us. Let's head into Austin, and hopefully we can do well. Lawson here currently has the lap record. It's going to be nice weather. Overcast does mean that we are going to be unable to use conserve on soft tires. Light is going to be our best bet. That's a lesson we learned last time around. So yeah, we're probably going to adapt some sort of light strategy for this track. For now though, let's get to practice and quali. Quali is over, and well, we blindsided Red Bull last time. This time we got hit back hard. So Verstappen shows us why he is Verstappen, and we end up second and fourth. Leclerc with a bit of a penalty, and Norris somehow ended up in 20th. So it's good. Well, it's also bad. It's a bit of a weird one. I don't really know how to handle this one, but I think the strategy here is going to be very simple for the race itself. I have to ask myself basically, do we take the penalty here in terms of engine? And I think we're going to say no. I think we're going to take it in Mexico. I think it's just going to be easier there to get back up the grid order, if you will. So we're going to go ahead and eat the penalty for Contreras next race. That's going to be the I think that's going to be the best play. Now, with that said, it means we're going to be slightly slower here as a result, and Nyman's going to have a bit of an advantage. But honestly, since Lando is still the biggest rival, I don't think it's going to matter much. But at the same time, we would of course love to have healthy parts, but again, I think it's better to just take the penalty next race. For now though, we're going to get the sprint and the race out of the way before we start considering that penalty anymore. And honestly, I do think we have a good chance here, and I think we're just going to do what we did last time, which is start it on kind of light. Going full conserve is not going to work simply due to the fact that we don't have enough tire life to make that happen. And going lighter is going to keep the tires more alive. We're going to have an advantage. And over the course of the sprint, I think we're going to be getting the tire life that we are kind of the time that we're sacrificing here by extending the tire life back. That's going to be the whole idea anyways. And I do want to see if what we did at Qatar can work here too for the sprint. So let's get into it, see if it does work. We are starting a little bit further back though, so the gap that might be created can be bigger. But yeah, you see the Red Bull here, see the Red Bull there. And it looks like we had a better start there than Verstappen, which would be amazing. Lyman did not have the best start. And running light here definitely is not doing us any favors, I think. We did lose a position. Lyman retained fourth. Spoke a little bit too soon. Is fighting the Ferrari quite aggressively. But I think we aren't going to be happy even if we lose a position for both of them, honestly. But yeah, the goal here, again, running light, take care of these mediums, try and get an advantage towards the end. Catch up just due to having better tire degradation. Didn't work out too well the first time around, but I think it can work out better this time around. Hence, we are taking this kind of gamble. So let's see how this works out. It's going to take a little bit of time here before the rest of the grid starts to kind of slow down. But so far, it does look like we are at least degrading as anticipated. And honestly, we aren't losing that much time compared to Verstappen and Leclerc, and they've used a lot more tyre already. So again, over the course of this sprint, we're most likely going to get that gap back. We have a little bit of a concern here in terms of, well, not really degradation, but well, actually in terms of degradation. As you see, we have been running light, but even then, we're losing more than we would expect. And that is, as you might be able to imagine, a bit of a problem. So we're going to have to try and have Nyman push here, see if we can catch up to Leclerc. We're not going to get Verstappen, unfortunately. He's just a little bit too quick, and he has actually taken decent care of his tyres as well. So while we are kind of keeping up, the higher tyre deg that we are experiencing does actually make a huge difference. So maybe I'm back on understanding it. Basically, the heat of Qatar, it'd probably help us out a little bit, but I think Contreras is ready here to make the move. And for Nyman, don't really know if we're going to be able to make the move because it is a DRS train, but we could hope to get something done. And for Contreras here now, I think running attack and the same for Nyman is going to be viable. Try and detach Leclerc so that Nyman has a chance to actually get something done. And we did go a bit wide, but apparently didn't actually lose anything, so I think that's fine. Let's just have a quick look at it.
Here we are now, down at turn 17. And nearly,
Yeah.
oh, just
Ran slightly off the track. Honestly, I feel like we lost less than we should have there in terms of time. But I guess we can be happy with it. We are going to be pushing. There's just no reason not to. And we have reached a point here now where the engine is taking damage, which is why that yellow light is blaring. And for Nyman here, we are going to take a little bit of a risk. I feel like that is going to be worth it here on the final lap. Final kind of overtaking opportunity here, going into the DRS. And looking at it, we might be able to get both of them on the inside now. We gave up. But at least we did make an attempt, and Contreras here couldn't get Verstappen, but that is understandable. And we might have to make some strategic adjustments for the race itself, but can we be happy with this? Probably. Can we get at least one Ferrari by the line? Not really. We were close though, so honorable effort.
over the finish line.
Norris didn't really improve much. He's in 17th, so yeah, not actually a good sprint for the Red Bulls. I believe we can actually end up gaining on them, even if we didn't, you know, do the best that we could. And we were closer to pipping Charles Leclerc too, to get up into 4th, but we're going to be starting there anyways due to a penalty. That is a-okay. Now, in terms of the strategy, I think we're going to have to do a couple of decisions here. So, in terms of tyres, let's just go through that first. Tyres here. Soft tyres have 4/10 advantage, but they degrade really quickly. Less than 10 laps. Mediums will be faster. Medium 5/10 advantage over hards. Degradation 400, so 12-13 laps. I think we want to use mediums if we can. And we do have 2 mediums available. Here we have also two mediums available. But I'm thinking we do the unorthodox move of hard, full attack, onto medium light, onto another medium light. And I think this should be, probably for us, one of the quickest strategies that we can employ, because of the fact that we do have, as I said, pretty high degradation. You can see over the course of the sprint, which was 19 laps, that we end up with higher deg than anticipated, so this should probably be okay. That's what I'm thinking. Now, in terms of other strategies, we could, of course, go full attack on a medium to start off with. Again, I do enjoy going aggressive on the initial stint, mainly due to the fact that it is generally quicker. You never really want to do light on a hard set. It just isn't worth it for most tracks. And as I say, this isn't really going to work unless we can really push to the limit. But it would be slightly quicker. Actually, this one is still somewhat quicker, so I think we're just going to do that for both cars. Because that's kind of the thing that we have to keep in mind. We're just trying to keep the tires lasting for, well, trying to make the best out of it with the tires that we have, I guess is the best way to put it. So we'll put Nyman here on the same strategy. This should probably be a new kind of type strategy. I should probably be talking about for high degradation tracks. But this is what we're going to do. It's a little bit unorthodox, and I am really just stumbling over my words here today, so apologies for all the mumbling and the repeated sentences. Honestly, now that I've just calmed down for a sec, I'm probably speaking a little bit too quickly and thus stumbling over my own words because my mouth can't keep up with my mind, and thus it just goes a little bit too quick. Which honestly, I can kind of feel now that I did realize and start speaking a little bit slower. So apologies if it's been difficult to keep up until this point. But for now, let's jump into the race. Let's see what we can do.
We're not far off now here in Austin as the drivers ready themselves for this 56-lap race. The Alpha Tauri driver has got a lot of people talking.
A second place start for them today.
Here we
Sorry
go.
about that.
It's the United States Grand Prix. And it's
So we are the only ones to start on the hard, I believe. We are indeed. The others have elected soft or medium,
Where we are.
which is fine. But we are going to be trying here to get something done with these tires. We are still looking good here, 3rd and 4th. Probably going to drop down to 5th here with Ocon. And again, that's kind of what you expect on medium versus, well, hard versus medium versus softs, particularly on the first stint. But we're probably going to get these places back towards the end of, well, the first one here. I do believe that, because the mediums and the softs are both going to be falling off pretty quickly. And by lap 15 or so, we're going to be pitting anyways. Down to 4th and 5th, which again is what you expect to have happen when you do start on a worse tire. But so far, I'm actually happy that we didn't lose more than these places. And I think for now, we're just going to sit back and allow this first stint to just run its course. We are indeed getting close to our first pit window. Unfortunately, Contreras has been repeatedly challenged by Bottas, by Gasly, and thus has been slowed down a little bit. Nyman is up in 2nd, which is kind of where we want her to be. And as you see, degradation is higher than anticipated for Contreras. So we're going to be pitting her this lap. But the same can be said for Nyman, although it is less worse there. We're still going to be pitting her on this next lap for her. And Bottas actually pits with us, and we do actually sneak out ahead of him. So that is very, very positive. But as you can see here, Verstappen, Ocon, all of them kind of have used up their tires as well. So we're actually going to end up in a situation here where we're going to be pitting around the same time for probably a lot of these drivers, which is going to make things slightly interesting. And I did go a little bit too far down on the scale here to full conserve instead of light, so let's get that fixed. Although, let's be honest here, Contreras, the traffic here could be a bit of an issue. And Nyman is going to actually skip all of that traffic. That's going to make her life a ton easier. So, Contreras here, get that deploy out. Let's see if we can get Norris and start chasing down some better positions here. But for Nyman here, she's actually in a great position where probably, once Verstappen pits, we're going to be coming out ahead of him. Maybe, maybe not, we'll see. Just about. And we even have a little bit of a guard there, so worked out fairly well, I'd argue. But yeah, we'll be trying to move both cars forward before we go into the final pit stop. We've had a bit of an incident here. I think we're safe, I hope. Can only hope when that happens. And it's Albon, and I believe that is Stroll, unless I'm mistaken. Ooh, that actually looked kind of dangerous, honestly. But yeah, so we had an incident between Albon and Stroll indeed. Yeah, Nyman so far up into 4th place. The Verstappen is just flying here. I assume he might have a new engine. We can check that later on. That's the main thing that makes sense. Unfortunately for Contreras, Leclerc just snuck out right ahead on the pit stop. Could actually be beneficial though if we can keep up, but he is going to be quite a lot quicker. So currently, not the best situation to be in here. Norris is still, you know, back of the grid. So as long as he has decided to not perform, we are going to still be happy here even if Verstappen ends up winning. But of course, getting Contreras up on the podium would be really, really beneficial, because Contreras is actually the one that is leading the championship. So we're going to have to make something happen with that. But as of now, there isn't really much we can do strategy-wise, because as you can see here, degradation is still a huge concern for Contreras. So we have to make a few decisions here for Contreras. Basically what we're seeing here is that this just isn't going to work. And in terms of time here, pit stops here are about 23 seconds. Which means that if we do pit, we're going to come out into most likely this kerfuffle. But we don't really have any choice. We're going to have to gamble here. And everyone is going to be pitting fairly soon. So I've decided to put Contreras on a 2-stopper here. It is about the same expected time as the current one, but because degradation is high, we actually are going to be slower than anticipated. So I think we're going to do a little bit of a gamble. We could do that same gamble with Nyman here. Nyman actually has a better chance of making that gamble work for a potential race win. So I think we're going to do that as well. Push this lap, get in next lap, and then we shall pit for soft tires and push them on basically light. We're going to be doing 2 stints. And we do have a pit crew that does allow for that to happen with minimal losses. Hence why I am very interested in taking this gamble. 1.5 seconds a lap quicker. So as you can imagine, we're going to be getting that time back fairly quickly. And as others get slower, that's just going to become more and more into our favor. So we're going to try this. If it's going to pan out or not, maybe not. But I still think that it's worth to give it a shot. And Nyman, as I said, is going to come out in a bunch of clean air. She's not going to have any problems with this. It's going to be really beneficial. But for Contreras here, it's going to be important where we come out. And unfortunately, that isn't the best base. So we're going to have to do a little bit aggressive movements here. We need to get by De Vries immediately if we can. We did. Clearing push air 2 is going to be important. But yeah, Nyman, we are going to need to get these up to temperature. We probably should consider pushing them a little bit more for the first lap. But I'm curious to see now on this one what our lap times do look like. Because if they are terrible, we might just go a little bit longer and push a little bit more aggressively on that final stint instead. Okay. Moment of truth. Contreras is setting greens at least. Setting yellows. That's not what we'd like to see. 38.4. Still quicker than anyone else. 37 blank, which is also great. So I still think this is going to be good. But it's just a question of where we're going to end up on the podium. Probably should, as I said, push a little bit stronger to heat up tires. But again, the smoothness is so low on these guys that I don't think the time gained by pushing to get heat into them is going to kind of benefit us in the sense that we're not going to get any benefit from it. Basically, we're going to save a little bit of time over the course of the stint as a result, but we'll lose probably as much time because we wore down the tires early. So it's basically a pro-con thing. And as I said, I think they basically cancel each other out to some degree. But for now, we are doing well, and everyone else is still going to need to do one more pit stop. So it's not terrible what we've done here. Although you could argue that, okay, if you just did one more pit stop, you probably would have been in a better spot. That's not the thing here. We're just going to push. We're going to go basically until lap 40, go full attack for a few laps, and then go on to the final set of tires. And as I said, I think this is our best bet for getting both cars on the podium. So we might just have lucked out massively. As you can see, we have a red flag. 20 laps to go. Can actually mess around with strategy now too, because we actually managed to stop it in time. We also have medium tire available, so we can run on standard till the end. So yes, everything is looking very, very good at the moment. And that is very, very lucky that we didn't actually pit. We were planning to pit this lap in reality. So what are we looking at here? Well, for us, we have Nyman and Contreras about to start pushing to pit very soon. Verstappen has just pitted. He came out in between. We have Russell in 4th here. Norris is probably going to benefit. He hasn't had yet to pit. Same here for Bottas, massively benefiting. Schumacher and Magnussen with a bit of an incident here at the very least. I'm wondering if anyone else is involved. Doesn't look like it, so what I assume happened here is a lockup where Schumacher hit Magnussen, judging by that rear wing. Unless we have someone else involved as well. Lawson did have a lockup, but I don't think that was the case of the incident. Yeah, it should be Schumacher locking up or... Oh. Oh.
Wow. Wow.
So light touch turn glitch. That makes more sense. Because that Mercedes was barely off the track. Okay, that's fine. Those things do happen. We could, again, try soft tires here. But as you can see, we are not keeping them alive till the end, so we're going mediums for sure. And I think most other cars that do have mediums are going to be using them as well. This is probably going to be the best option available to us.
To get this race underway,
Medium, medium, medium. Some soft state in the back. But yeah, generally just medium city.
lights out, and away we go.
I'm thinking that we do keep them on light though. I think that's fine. It's 16 laps. It's basically a mini sprint. Well, a sprint is a mini race, but it's a slightly shorter sprint.
No more lift up required.
So I think that's fine. We are going to be losing again a little bit here in the start, which means that I'm probably a little bit too conservative. But at the same time, I think this is going to benefit us more towards the end because of our higher tire deg. Russell here is also an older medium, which is beneficial to us. Same here with Ocon. So yeah, we're going to play it a little bit more careful than one will probably need to. But again, I prefer to be careful in these situations where we can get a huge haul of points on our opponents. Norris here is going to be the bit of an interesting wild card because he's now up into 8th position on soft tires and could potentially start hunting other cars down. 15 laps to go. Let's see if we can hold on to these positions and maybe even catch Verstappen. So far things are going well. We have just left Russell behind. We have both our cars now chasing down Verstappen. And I do think that we do, well, should be able to catch up. But as you can see, Verstappen too is saving his tires. So yeah, it's probably going to be a little bit of a difficult task to get done. But second and third still ain't bad. But if we can, we would of course love to catch Verstappen. I just don't think we have enough laps to do it. The only way to get this done is to kind of cycle our drivers with push and have whoever is running ahead of the other one deploy and also run probably more aggressive in terms of the tires here. It's a little bit of a risk to do so, in my honest opinion. Let's just do it standard. But yeah, deploying, pushing tires, and kind of alternating back and forth here with DRS is probably just going to be the only way that we're going to be closing down enough here to catch Verstappen with our cars before the end. So it's a little bit of micromanagement, but it's the kind of micromanagement you have to do sometimes. And I think at this point we can turn both cars up to aggressive. 3 laps to go, 20% tire to use. No reason to go a little bit more on the offensive here. And for Contreras, who's actually kind of pulling away from Nyman, catching up close to Verstappen, that is actually great. So yeah, lost about 5% on that last lap, which means full attack is on the table for both cars. Contreras also has a little bit of extra energy to use push, well, fuel that is. And with how close we are to Verstappen now, getting it done on the straight might be a viable scenario. Just running a little bit too close to, well, Verstappen, basically the defensive shape there, as it's called. Could also be that we're just lacking with the lack of engine power. But we might also allow Nyman to make a charge here instead. Because energy is going to become a bit of a concern here. And also, I am going to order them both to do high overtake aggression now on this final lap.
Battery is on the low side.
Battery is dead, but we should be getting a lot back here now from the top of the hill. Well, not a lot, but you get the idea. Just gonna put it in neutral until we get to the DRS zone. Probably should just order Nyman to go past, but it's a little bit too late for that. Should have done that a lap ago. Which makes this a little bit more difficult. Let's see now if we can, with the limited energy that we have, get enough here so we can actually launch an attack. And Nyman might. A little bit too far back there. Which is unfortunate. But Nyman does get Contreras and does have enough energy to maybe do something cheeky into the final corner. Give a little bit of push here for that little bit of energy we have left, or a little bit of fuel we have left. We're actually looking at the wrong driver. But yeah, unfortunately, Should have let
Max
Nyman go for the attack.
over the
Verstappen
finish
does
line,
win.
and today's
Norris currently 7th, and he's going to finish 7th. So, while maybe not the race weekend that we were looking for, I think this still allows us to catch up to Verstappen. I'm just a little bit curious how the driver standings are going to be looking.
That was a
So yeah, Nyman 2nd, Contreras 3rd, Verstappen 1st, then we have Norris, Russell, Bottas, Gasly. The Alpines are doing well. Behrman with a pretty amazing race for him, let's be honest. 8th place, 12 positions gained in a Haas, started last. Leclerc 9th, and then we have Ocon in the Mercedes. So yeah. Then we have the World Championship here. Contreras has 58 points with just a few races left to go here. I believe it's, what is it, 4 races to go. Good lead. Should be kind of safe. And Nyman here. Kind of securing 4th place. I don't think we're going to be catching Lando. Constructors then. We did gain just 4 points this race weekend. So a little bit disappointing. Well, actually, massively disappointing. Bit of pill to swallow there. That I didn't just let Nyman have a go at Verstappen. That's on me. But too late to kind of cry about it. Decision's been made. If it was a poor decision, just going to have to live with it. And that is the case right here. But 27 points up to Red Bull is still manageable with the next 4 races to go. Mexico, Sao Paulo, Las Vegas, and Yas Island. And we are going to be taking a penalty next race, so we probably aren't going to be lessening the gap then. But the other 3 races, with a fresh engine, Contreras can potentially do wonders. So I'm looking forward to that. However, we're going to have to end today's video here. Thank you, Mary. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. And again, I'm very sorry if I was intelligible, because I was speaking a bit too quick and a bit too mumbled. Probably for most of this video. But yeah, hope you've enjoyed still. If you did, please like and subscribe if you haven't, as that does help me out a ton. And I shall see you all next time. Bye bye.